It's the 15th of February 2026. A routine air policing operation begins with 2 Belgian F-16s taking off from Mari Air Force Base and heading east. As well as air policing, they're also investigating suspicious activity east of Narva by the Russian forces. They spot some drones on radar, but the contact is quickly lost. They report up the information found and continue on the mission. Recently, the Russian Federation have conducted multiple incursions into NATO territory using drones and aircraft. Russia are planning to distract NATO from Ukraine by seizing NATO territory, namely Narva. Narva is home to a high population of Russian-speaking ethnic Russians, and is perfect territory to swoop in and put the world's eyes 1,500 miles in the wrong direction, whilst also gaining Putin some much-needed prestige. Putin plans on relying on limiting the scope of this conflict and his sweet talk to President Trump in order to keep the wider NATO alliance from entering the battle. President Putin orders his best prepared division, the 2nd Guards Motor Rifle Division, to seize Narva. The commander, codenamed Borat, orders his 15th Guards Motor Rifle Regiment to initiate the attack and seize Narva. Borat orders his 1st Guards Tank Regiment to be prepared to move through Narva and break out and create a buffer to the west. Borat also has his 1st Guards Motor Rifle Regiment, but they're currently returning from fighting in Ukraine and are unusable for the time being. Upon moving out, British forces of the EFP Battlegroup Estonia are alerted and scramble to deploy from Tapa. Estonian militia are stood to and NATO aircraft are readied. The race to Narva is on. Moving forwards, we'll simulate this using DCS and Steel Beasts. We may also use some other simulators to simulate the fine details of some of these conflicts. Now we turn to the battlefield and have the Russian plan looking to split their forces into 3 BTGs to attack via the north, centre and south. This leaves them with no reserve. The commander is hoping that the 1st Guards Tank Regiment will be ready to fill in if needed. The NATO plan is a hasty one. They plan to delay and attrit the Russian assault. They deploy in a 1-up, 2-back formation. Their delay is short in depth in order to make the Russians pay for every inch. If the Russians continue on past their last phase line, they'll fall back further to prepared defensive lines. EFP Estonia left their Danish troops to the rear as a mobile reserve in order to counter any flanking manoeuvre by the Russians, and the Estonian troops begin to dig in further to the west. Launching the attack, Russian forces cross the Narva River 1 BTG at a time in order to stop them from clogging up the crossing. Militia from the Estonian Defence League take the first shots of the conflict, firing Carl Gustavs at the enemy and engaging with small arms. They make a valiant defence but are ultimately defeated. In the centre, troops have made up ground. And are destroying local militia.
Contact. APCs first.
Russian tanks make contact with the British recce, who are caught off guard and destroyed.
Contact. Men first.
The remainder of the reconnaissance withdraw, keeping track on the Russian formation to guide them towards NATO engagement areas. A British tank gets the drop on the enemy, hitting them in the flank as the BTG advances towards their objectives.
Contact. Tanks east. We're taking fire. We've lost another tank.
Meanwhile, as the remainder of the first BTG cross the border, the second BTG starts to move out. Corporal Stuber, a recce commander in the southeast of the AO, takes a break from eating his rations to spot two platoons pulling security on the crossing and calls in an artillery fire mission, effectively destroying the Russian troops. The Challenger 2 that was ambushing the assault falls victim to his overconfidence and perishes to an ever-increasing Russian tank presence.
Tank! Fire! Load speed! Target! Fire! Target! Go on! Fire! Load speed! Target! Go on! Fire! Load speed! Target! Go on! Fire! Target! Stop!
The first BTG dispatches a platoon of tanks in the centre that stumble into an engagement area and are destroyed after putting up a tough fight.
Contact. Tanks. We're taking fire. We're on a checkpoint. Awaiting orders.
Now the main effort of this BTG are being picked apart. A troop of Challenger 2s are destroying them one by one.
Taking fire. We're taking fire. Taking fire. We're taking fire. We're taking fire. Contact. Men. We're taking fire. Fire! We're taking fire. We're on a checkpoint. Awaiting orders. Target! We're on a checkpoint. Awaiting orders. We're taking fire. Fire! We're taking fire. We're taking fire. Target! Gunner! Spin! Tank! On! Fire! Off.
They do manage to destroy a tank and force the NATO troops to withdraw, but at a huge cost to their combat power and are forced to hold position.
We're taking fire.
The centre axis BTG makes up good ground, but find they are overextended quickly without mutual support. NATO makes quick work of this, destroying them in detail. BTG-2 are left with dwindling numbers, but with a solid defence established. As BTG-2 hold their ground, NATO forces start pounding rearward in the east. BTG-3 quickly roll out, taking the eastern flank. Okay, let's zoom out and get a sit-rep of what's going on. Russian forces crossed into Narva and took the city. They took heavy losses from the NATO battle group, but ultimately hold the ground. Russian state media is calling this mission a success. Next time we will see how the 1st Guards Tank Regiment plan to continue on this attack, supported by Shahed drones. We'll have to stop these drones to stop them from destroying our defences, and we'll see if the 1st Guards Tank Regiment can continue on this attack, or if they'll be pushed back into Russia by the NATO troops. And that's all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe and comment in order to get me higher in the algorithm. It will boost my confidence and help me make more of these videos. And if you want to join in for some of these, be sure to join our Discord at Force Hannibal in order to play on Blue 4 or Op 4, as we need commanders to make these more dynamic and more realistic. We fly DCS and engage in ground combat in Steel Beasts. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.